Okay, Cindy, I'm going to square up a few of your blocks so that you can see exactly what I do to get them 8.5 by 8.5. So here's the first one I pulled out of your bag. And yeah, your blocks are maybe a little off down here for some reason. It may be an optical illusion, I'm not sure. So you're going to take your 12-inch ruler, 12 all the way around, and you're going to put it on the edge of this, not this part, the edge of your checkered squares right here, and the edge of this one because it's lower. And if I'm looking at this right, so I'm going to line up here as best I can. And from what I can see, in lining up and trying to keep these lines as straight as I can, and this line as straight as I can. I can't get it completely straight. Okay, so if I put it on your seam line across here, it makes this a little wonky. But let's see here. Yeah, I can't do that. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to put it on this line on your fabric. Okay, I'm going to put it on the corner right here. Yeah, let me see. Okay. All right, so if I put it right on the corner here, you've got 8.5 all the way across to this one. This is a little high, no big deal, we're going to cut it. And if I go down here, and I'm hoping that you can see this, this is your 8.5-inch line across here. Okay, so I've got a little bit to cut off down here. I've got this rectangle part to cut off. And over here, this comes all the way down, and this is lined up right down here. I got a tiny little bit I'm going to have to cut off. All right, so let me get my trimmer. And is this going to roll? All right, so I've got this lined up on the middle square. All right, so I'm going to press down, and I'm going to cut. And it's just a tad off on this top square. I mean, just a teensy bit right here. All right, so now I'm going to turn one. I'm going to put it back on here, and I'm going to use this one because that's the one I just cut to line up. So I've got it on 8.5. Down here, let me turn this back around and trim again. All right, so I'm going to put it back on here. I've got it right at the corner, and I've got that lined up. I'm going to just do a tiny bit trim. Let's see, lined up here and here. All right. Okay, so it's just a teensy bit off. So I'm going to make one turn. I'm going to line up down here because this is the one I just trimmed. So I'm lining it up on 8.5. All right. And it's just a tiny bit off here. I got plenty to cut off over here. A little bit to cut off on this rectangle right across here. Hold the ruler down and trim. Okay, I'm going to push that off. All right, I'm going to turn it once. I'm going to keep it, use this one, this edge, to line up, because that's the first edge I used. It's lined up here. Got a tiny, tiny bit off here, no big deal. And I'm going to line up down here. Now, it's not perfectly lined up. You've got a little bit off here, but I want to keep it straight as much as I can on 8.5. All right. Take that off. Okay. So I hope you can see it. This one's lined up really well. This one's lined up well. This is fairly straight on here, and right here it's good. Okay, so now I'm going to make one more turn. I'm going to come over here. I'm lining up with this edge. That's the first one I cut, and it was really straight. But for some reason, this is off. Why is that off? Let me go back. Turn it again. Now, this is the whole process that you have to go through all the time. You have to always look. Yeah, and it is a little off. I didn't cut enough. Okay, so I'm going to line up down here. This is the last edge to cut off, so this is lined up there. Lined up. Yeah, I need to cut a little bit off right here. Oh, come on, really, I think I need a new blade. All right, that looks better. So now we're going to turn it around. Let's check this again. Okay, so I've got 8.5, 8.5. This is lined up good. This is my last one to do. Remember, I turned it completely back around. All right, so I'm going to line up here. This is, okay, I'm going to line up here. This is still lined up straight. This is lined up straight. This is my last edge to cut. All right, I'm going to double check. All right, so that's lined up. I'm double checking here and here. This is a good line. All right, so this is the last cut. All right, so there you go. Now, that's how you square up your block. All right, so that is now 8.5, 8.5. All right, I hope you can do that. You can always refer back or give me a call. All right, so I'm going to do one more block for you. Out of your, that's left. I don't know how many you got in there. All right, so here you can see this is off from your rectangle, but yet this one is pretty well lined up. Okay, so this one's a little off from your rectangle, but yet this one is lined up. Don't ask me why it's doing that. Here, this one's a little off from your rectangle. All right, so let's put the ruler to it. All right, so I'm going to go up here because that's the shortest edge. It lines up down here, if you can see, and I'm hoping on the video that you can see it. Okay, so this lines up, this lines up. You got a little bit off on your rectangle. I'm lined up here at the top, and you've got this to cut off. Just a little bit right across here. There's a little bit on this side of the 8.5, but yet this square is pretty much 8.5 right here. And then down here at the bottom, we've got just a tiny bit to cut off down here to make it 8.5. All right, so I'm going to make my first cut. Remember, this was lined up pretty good on this red block. So I'm going to cut. Okay, so see how that is pretty square now? I'll make one turn. Okay, I'm going to put my ruler back on. You always have to keep track of this first cut. All right, so now I've lined up on the bottom. I'm lined up here. I'm lined up on this block, so that, I mean, this quadrant right here, this 4-patch, or your checkerboard, however you want to term it. All right, so this is lined up. That's pretty good. This center block is really a good place to look and see how square your block is. All right, so this was my first side to cut, and it's lined up perfect. So I'm going to cut the second side. All right, and there we go. See how that is now? This is lined up great. This is lined up great. All right, so I'm going to make a turn. Okay, so this was my first side, second side. First, second, third. Okay, and I'm going to come back up here, put my ruler up. I've got it lined, got this one lined up. And for some reason, this is off. I don't know what I did, but this is just part of the process. I'm going to trim this side. Let's check, double check. That's lined up there. I'm going to scooch it up just a tad. Yeah. Yeah, did I turn it too far maybe? All right, so I'm going to cut this. All right, and I'm going to turn this back around. And I'm going to look at it. Yeah. All right, so I didn't cut enough. So it's lined up good here on this seam. It's lined up here. And that's okay. All right, so I'm going to cut this off. I must have turned it too far. All right. All right. So there's another squared up block. If I line it up on the mat, I'll put it on here one more time and double check. And you know what? I'm going to turn it to this side. Put it over here because I want to trim just a teensy bit right there. So I'm going to turn this side all the way back around. There, I'm going to lay the roller down again. This is lined up, this is lined up, this is lined up. And yeah, there's just a teensy bit. Whoops. Slipped. Okay, lined up, lined up. This is good. That's good. Yeah, and I'm just going to trim just a tiny bit off that rectangle. All right. All right. Now that's squared up. So, I'm going to bring your blocks back to you. And you can try it. Just watch the video a couple times. All right. Good luck.